The opinions expressed in this show belong to the person expressing them. They do not purport to reflect the opinions or views of Rancher or any other entity. Oh, wow. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's episode of Coffee and Cloud Native, the show that shares news and interesting content related to Kubernetes, Cloud Native, and other nifty technology, and that also just makes me laugh with the stuff you guys are posting in the chat. My name is Adrian Goins. I'm excited to be here with you today. If you're watching live, consider subscribing to the channel. And if you're watching a replay, please also give the video a thumbs up so the YouTube algorithm shares it with other people. Join the free community site and the Discord server. Links to that are in the video description. Live chat happens in Discord with a bot that relays between YouTube and Twitch, so come hang out with us either during the show or after. Let's take a moment to say hello to all of the crazy people who are in the chat. Ooh, on the big screen today. Okay, wow. So Steve has me on what looks to be a, what is that, a 55-inch TV? 65-inch? Good Lord. Nice picture quality. Huh. Interesting. I see that you also have the chat scrolling by. So that leads me to a question about when I'm over in the split content view and I have the chat going, you know, for those who don't have the chat on their TV, does that end up being duplicated for most of you? I remember when I first did that, Trix said that it actually wasted real estate, but I'm kind of using it in unused real estate right now. So y'all tell me in the chat if that's good or if I should make that go away and replace it with like something else. So who do we got? We got Duck, Old Man with a Hat. Kessor, hey, watching from Twitch, hello. Mac, The Incredible Mulk. Welcome to the show. I don't know who you are. It's nice to see you. Ian, Steve, 65-inch TV. Very nice, my friend. Very nice. Nuno, of course, is here. Wifebot. Hello, Wifebot. Peter Keach. Who else? Frank. Mladen. Rob. And that's all the scrolling that we can do for today. Maybe this weekend I'll build that thing into Trufflebot that will have him just give me a list of everybody who like talked in the last 5 minutes, because I want to make sure that I say hi to everybody who's hanging out with us this morning. But I don't want the show to also, like, imagine when we get to 1,000 people watching and like the entire show is just me shouting out people's names. Let's get started. First of all, I have, let's see, how do I want to do this? I have 2 news announcements for today. News announcement number 1 is thank you to everybody who's been making bios. This is great. I went and popped into the site and saw, it warms my little heart to see all of you sharing information about yourselves. So now, you know, it's a community. It's not just a bunch of people standing like a high school dance. I used to go to the dance at high school and I'd like stand at the back wall and like not talk to anybody. That's not what we're here for. We're not all here to stand at the wall. So thank you everybody who is posting a bio. That's going to make it easier to introduce people during the continuous inspiration section next week. How many of you have figured out that all of my little show segments are like loosely connected to technology terms, like continuous inspiration, CI? The hot seat doesn't have anything to do with anything. A/B test, it's Adrian and the bot, but like A/B test. Or maybe the hot seat can be called the canary. The second thing that I have for today is, it's not part of the A/B test. This came to me this morning. But it's actually kind of connected to something that will be in the A/B test in a moment. Traffic has a job opening for a developer advocate. If you are interested in doing community-related work and leveraging your experience with Rancher, Docker, Kubernetes, community, all of the other stuff, then, well, Traffic has a job opening, and they're looking for somebody to fill this position. Now, I don't normally talk about job stuff on the show, but Traffic is a personal friend of mine, and I would love to see somebody from the community take over this role and just go crazy with it. Now we can get started with the goods. as soon as I find the button that I'm supposed to press. It's that one. I have white text on a yellow background, and I moved all the buttons around, so I'm like, ah. Plus, I stopped wearing my glasses, so it's like blurry whiteness on a yellow background. Today, of course, is the hot seat. The canary test. The canary deployment. Ellie is going to run a 5-minute giveaway in the live chat channel on Discord. I will call that winner over Discord, and I will bring them onto the show to do the A/B test with me right here, right now, today. It's called the canary deployment because if you win, you have no idea what we're going to be talking about. And honestly, I kind of don't either. I'll present the content to you and everyone else, and then we'll just spend a few seconds talking about it before moving on to the next item. Let me go and grab that little... Oops, that's the wrong window. Let me go and grab that little thing so I can start that. No, that's also the wrong window. Let me waste the rest of the show trying to figure out what window has my text in it for the giveaway. There we go. Giveaway started. 5 minutes. Whitebot will tell me when we have a winner. And now we can move on to the A/B test. The A/B test. I considered making the giveaway a little bit longer than 5 minutes because sometimes people get on the show a little bit later, but we're already 7 minutes in. 5 more minutes. That doesn't give us a lot of time. So boom, there it is. Go. The collector bots have gathered candidates for the show, and Trufflebot has scored them from 1 to 5 coffees. He's going to present them one at a time in Discord. Anyone watching live can rate them in the live voting channel. Your votes are used to train the machine learning model that chooses content for the Your votes matter, so get in there and vote. And I made something. Oh no! Shit. I broke something. Okay, hold on. I was making something last night, so I was actually debugging, and I have Trufflebot in debug mode, so he's posting in the wrong channel. Hang on. Let's reset. Let's set debug off. And good. All right, now I made something last night that I hope you like. You ready for it? Keep your eyes posted right here. QR codes for the URL of the particular thing that we're discussing. Oh man, get your phones out, flip the camera, hold it up to the screen, boom. Anyway, there you go. QR codes. So that, you don't have to go hunt for stuff or try and figure out what my little URL shortcodes are there. But for those of you who like to read, I put those there too. First up today, this is actually from our friends over at LearnKates. This came out, I think, yesterday, or at least I discovered it yesterday. And this is a place for people to post Kubernetes-related jobs and for you to go and find one with clear postings of salary requirements. So you can also go and figure out what you're worth. And if the place that you work right now is... Somebody just pinged me, so I got my little ear in. Oh, the helicopter's back. Oh, Mac. Nice one. Anyway, so you can figure out if the place that you're working is paying you what's a competitive salary for the work that you're doing. Pretty much everybody's job is remote these days. So, if you're looking, if you're interested, whatever, here you go. And the URL for that is right there. Now, the super cool part about this, once I get back to my actual voting channel here, that's live voting. Okay, now, is this actually going to work? Is it going to change? Okay, so I even have this, I don't know if you can see this. I even have this as a button on my Stream Deck. Where is it? It's that button right there. And it's totally out of focus. It's that button right there. And through the Node-RED Stream Deck WebSockets proxy thing that I was playing with over the weekend, when I moved everything over to the Streamlabs OBS, It actually updates the image with the QR code. But more importantly, it's like the only button with a QR code, so I know the button to press. Let's continue. Glue. Yesterday I told you that Glue Edge released 1.6 that has a bunch of new and interesting stuff. Well, they followed that up with a tutorial on how to crush CSRF attacks. Crush with Glue Edge. Now, Glue Edge Enterprise contains a web application firewall, but the regular one didn't. And since, well, I don't know, if you have the Enterprise Edition, good for you. If you don't, boo. But what they've done with 1.6 is they have enabled the CSRF functionality within Envoy. So you can actually enable, so if you don't have the full WAF, you can still directly interface with Envoy through the Glue configuration. And this is a full tutorial with demonstrations on how you can block CSRF attacks in your API gateway. And I think somebody... Shipwreck! Nice! Okay. Shipwreck is our guest today. This is going to be fun. I'm going to make him stay all the way through Tool of the Day, because he really likes Tool of the Day. So let me get Shipwreck on the phone. Once again, I've got to figure out how to do this. This weekend I'm going to try and get together with WifeBot to create a thing where TruffleBot like puts the people in the group that has special voice access to the whatever, so that we can just streamline all of this. Because now I gotta find the whatever. Yo, dog, you ready? Better be ready. I'm gonna call you. I'm waiting for confirmation. Doot, doot. Boom. Oops. Oh, okay. Calling. Hello? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yeah, I can hear you. Okay, I'm bringing you online. Ready? Here we go.
All right, sounds good.
All right, now hopefully everybody else can hear you. You're unmuted. This is all new, but I tested it this morning. Somebody tell us in the live chat if you can hear Shipwreck.
Hello, everybody.
We hear Shipwreck. That's wonderful. Okay, so Shipwreck, please take a moment and introduce yourself to those who are watching. Tell them a little bit about yourself, and then, of course, if there's anybody that you'd like to say hello to or give a shout out to, you're welcome to do that as well. The floor is yours.
All right. Well, I'm based out of sunny Buffalo, New York. It's not nearly as sunny as it is outside Adrian's window right now. It's actually quite wintry here. I'm an application developer by trade, but I've found my way into Kubernetes. And so, as Adrian's mentioned before, Service Mesh and Glue and anything from Solo are my jam. Shout out to everybody here. I really like the community. I'm so glad that Adrian puts this together every day.
Oh, thank you. I enjoy doing it. It's all of you who make it fun for me as well. Nice. WifeBot just posted a GIF of Jon Snow as you in New York City. Okay, let me jump back over here and let's move on to the next item. Okay, this is fun. The next item is more of a proof of concept where Alvaro decided that it would be a wonderful idea to launch, what is this, an R5 metal node out in AWS. What is the specs on this thing? 96 cores, 768 gigabytes of RAM, 3.6 terabyte hard drive, who cares? And then used Firecracker to run a 63 node EKS cluster on that single node. He actually tried 100 nodes, but it kind of worked, but he could only see 63 of them, which was interesting. So then he launched a 63 node EKS cluster using Ansible on a single R5 metal node. What do you think?
Well, I know that's how a lot of people end up doing the scaling testing for their Kubernetes related products. Is they not so much with EKS and Firecracker. But you're not going to be able to spin up millions or thousands of instances very readily unless you're doing it all on some sort of virtualized instance.
Have you played with Firecracker at all?
Hmm.
Is it
Yeah,
possible
over
to?
the winter break, I played with Firecracker, micro VMs, and I played around with some unikernel stuff.
Oh, I saw you had a unikernel thing that you made an AMI for. Tell us a little bit about that real quick.
I took the break to learn Rust so that I could learn, so I can deploy Wasm. But I took a detour with Rust with OSV to deploy it quickly onto Amazon, and I wrapped it all up into an AMI, and it worked. Didn't really do anything, but it was fun to do.
OSV is a cloud computing focused computer operating system. This looks like a boring thing. Can you tell us about OSV in like 10 seconds or less?
Basically, just compiles everything into libraries, and you don't need there's really no user space. It's just you're plugging in the Rust binary directly into the kernel.
If somebody was deciding a programming language to learn and they had to choose between Go, Python, JavaScript, or Rust, which one would you recommend as the most economically viable for the future?
I'd still start with Go just because everything else. Well, Python's really quick and easy, but I feel like you're putting yourself into the I want to work on data science or I want to be a script kiddie with Python. No offense, but with JavaScript, you're
None
kind of in
taken.
the front end camp. Okay, but Golang still has the versatility and a lot more publicly facing documentation.
Okay. Next up, we have the Kate's AWS EBS Tagger. This is a project that I don't know if it was written by the same guy that wrote the article, but I'm just going to say, well, at least Mike wrote the article about it, and I'm guessing it was also written by Mike, based on the tone of the article. But if I jump down to the bottom, and we start in reverse. The CSI drivers for EBS don't currently allow you to apply arbitrary tags to the volumes that you're creating from within Kubernetes. There's I guess an open issue for this, but it's been open for a while and he just got tired of waiting for it, so he created this tool that allows you to annotate volumes in Kubernetes, and then it will automatically apply tags to them in the AWS configuration so that you can use those tags to figure out what you're spending your money on or what things are connected to what. What do you think?
I could read dozens of these articles, and I'd still be afraid of my spend in AWS. I'm fully entrenched in DigitalOcean, and still sometimes there I manage to overspend my budget. But this is all very useful information.
I agree. It has a default tags option, so you can just specify that, and then you can override either the default tags or add additional tags on a case-by-case basis. I have also, like pretty much everybody else, I think, overspent AWS. It's really easy to do. And I've also overspent DigitalOcean. When I started playing with backups a couple of weeks ago, I was like, oh my gosh, snapshots. Wow, that's a lot. Let's delete those. So I think something like this will be really great in helping solve the question of what the heck is this thing and why does it exist? Because even when you delete stuff, I've seen, sometimes you delete stuff in the cluster and it doesn't actually get deleted out in wherever it lived through, some random series of bizarreness.
Hmm.
Next up, I've spoken about Cilium a lot. I like Cilium. I run Cilium. DigitalOcean's Kubernetes clusters run Cilium. I've talked to the people from Cilium. And the first thing that caught my attention about this, I was like, who the heck is Isovalent? Or Isovalent or whatever. Well, I had no idea that back in November of last year, the people behind Cilium actually got a whole bunch of money and launched a company or legitimized their company or something. So Isovalent is actually the company who creates Cilium. In this article, I'm bringing it on the show simply to point out that eBPF is going to consume the world. And if you don't already work with eBPF via any number of whatever means that are available out there, it's 100% worth looking into and understanding how it works. Do you use Cilium, Shipwreck?
I do not. With my cluster on DigitalOcean, yeah.
DigitalOcean's, if you're up to date on docs, I think they're still on Cilium 1.8 and Cilium 1.9 is out. I have an open issue with them to please update that and to also add support for Hubble.
Mm-hmm.
I went and looked at Isovalent's site and I was like, because like you already created Cilium, like why do you exist? Why do people give you a bunch of money? Because they have a Cilium Enterprise version that adds additional eBPF functionality, which I think is really smart. And then of course through their partnerships that they have with Google and everybody else, I imagine that they're also getting paid for support.
Yeah,
The
I
thing,
think with eBPF, a lot of the functionality is in the extensibility of it, in
mm-hmm.
that you can write things to jam into in between your requests. And so it makes sense that they have an enterprise model where there's
Yeah,
standard stuff around that.
yep, agreed. The thing that I highlighted here, when they were talking to the CEO Dan Wendland, he says the eBPF coupled with Cilium will ultimately reduce reliance on legacy network overlays to connect fleets of Kubernetes clusters. And then he goes on to postulate that in fact Linux distributions running on smart network integration cards might offload packet processing from traditional servers altogether. And I was blown away by the idea that you could have a NIC running an embedded version of Linux with eBPF in it, and it just handles all of the packet processing and intelligence and takes it away from the CPU. It's the world is a crazy place. Like I can't even begin to keep up with the level of innovation, the the direction that people are going. It's just crazy. Even if none of it comes to pass, the fact that people like, are thinking about stuff like this, well, it'll keep us all employed. Did you hear about the United Nations researchers? Well, the red team that hacked the UN under the guise of research.
Oh,
Okay, this happened. Um, Researchers, so whatever, they went in and they started out just doing a troll, looking around, seeing what they could get access to. They found an exposed subdomain of the International Labor Organization that allowed them to access Git credentials. Using those Git credentials, they took over a legacy MySQL database as well as a survey management platform, and then they just went nuts. The Git credentials allow them to clone Git repos. Within that, they found WordPress config files that had the administrator database credentials in the WP config committed to the repo. They were able to get from that into further databases, the PHP files. They infiltrated all of the UN and ultimately ended up with the private data of over 100,000 United Nations employees. They stopped because they had access to a whole bunch more stuff, and they went back to the UN and they were like, okay, look, clearly there's a problem. It took them less than 24 hours from scanning to complete compromise. They reported this to the UN on January 4th. The UN responded and said, oh, oops, great, thanks, and we've done some remediation. I feel pretty strongly that the people who committed administrator credentials to a Git repository should be fired, at the very least. But I don't know that they're going to respond that way. And so I'm curious, Shipwreck, what your feelings are about people who make that level of mistake. Should they be terminated? Should they be re-educated? Not that we're like in North Korea, but like what should the appropriate response be?
I like fluidity in the enterprise. So if you have like a red mark on this, you get shipped over to merging PRs and doing the policy behind your Git repo sanitization. And
You get
once you
downgraded.
yeah, exactly. And then once you build that into your system again, maybe you're released back into the actual coding.
Interesting. Do you think that it indicates a problem or a level of issue, like where the UN might actually be employing people who have subpar skill sets? Is it indicative of a larger issue where the entire industry is forcing people to do things that they're not appropriately trained to do?
I think it's more the latter there, and that there's the UN is probably just they have a document here, but I'm sure this is happening countless times elsewhere.
Yeah, yeah. I
Thankfully,
don't
they
think the
were white
UN is
hats in this case.
unique. Yes, they were white. They were yes, white hats. So researchers. Uh, what do you think the solution is, just off the top of your head, for that problem? how do we reconcile the difference between skill set and responsibility?
That, that is a question above my pay grade. My first inclination is to throw more technology at it, but then you're just pushing it further up the stream.
Okay, fair enough. We are going to move to the tool of the day, because let me wrap up the A/B test here. Today's show had an average rating of 4 coffees. Every show has an average rating of 4 coffees. I should go and check and make sure that I don't have like a debug thing in there that just has trouble about rating everything 4 coffees. Okay. This.
Well, let me take this opportunity to say that I mentioned this in the chat a couple days ago, but feel free to rate things 1s and 2s, guys. It keeps variance in the model so that we're not getting it's not a positive feedback loop to the machine learning bots.
Can you share your rating system, because I think that's really smart.
Yeah, I can bring that back after we get done here.
No, share it on the show. Tell everybody right now.
Oh, you mean over audio?
Yes.
Share. So default rating things at 3. If I see any major red flags, I downgrade it to a 1. I think if I said it's something that I think would send you down the wrong path, I put it to a 2. If it's something that I would personally start using, I put it up to a 4. And then if it's something that I think I'll start sharing with a larger community, I bump it up to a 5.
Very cool. Thank you. Okay. This. Whoops. This. If I can click on it.
Button?
Button, link. Clicking's hard. JuiceFS. From what I can tell, even though it's 0.9.1, it looks like they just made a public release of this 6 days ago. This is an open source POSIX file system built on top of Redis and object storage. For example, S3, MinIO, or Ceph, or whatever can do object storage. Fully POSIX compatible. You can use it on Linux, Windows, Mac OS. It's crazy, especially if I scroll down to their benchmarking. The green bars there, those are, so it's read, write, and then for a single job, and then read and write for 16 jobs. The performance of JuiceFS just completely blows away S3FS and EFS, of course, including metadata on IOPS. It has support for S3, Google Cloud Storage, basically any object store. And I'm going to give you a 2-for-1 today on Tool of the Day. They also have this other thing called JuiceSync, which you can use even if you're not using JuiceFS to replicate stuff between an object store and basically anything else.
You are definitely throwing the challenge. What do you find are the most? How often do you find yourself unhappy with the performance of your throughput and your IOPS in your Kubernetes clusters?
Well, me personally, since I only run small clusters, basically never. The reason that I think something like this is interesting is because object store is readily available, but often difficult to interact with because you need something in between to actually move data in and out. Being able to mount that as a POSIX file system, I mean, you already have Fuse stuff where you can mount an S3 object store and it kind of works, but making that with like full lock support and basically just making it appear as a disk to whatever is talking to it opens up the possibilities of where you can use and interact with object store by getting data into and out of it, but then still have all of the benefits of object store interaction. You can host your website on it, or whatever value object stores provide. And when you take it then up to S3, you got like all the replication and CDN functionality that's baked into it. So as a bridge, I think it's a really great idea.
Yeah. I like that. I would like to say that right now we're in the phase of the industry where things are trying to be overloaded in the technical term. So with like the OCI registries, how they're storing every sort of artifact imaginable, they're storing WASM modules, they're storing Helm charts, they're storing all sorts of other things. Storage could probably do a fair bit more of this, where it's basically just one generic storage endpoint, and it opens up a world of possibility for a whole bunch of other connections.
I like possibility. There's an article that didn't make it on the show today that talks about data science and data, like the value of basically storing data. And I've always believed that in the data context, I made a note that having, like, collecting lots of data is valuable, even if you don't yet know what to do with it, because the more you have, the more you'll figure out what to do with it. And then once you are figuring it out, it's good to have a lot of it that you can work with. So that comes back to the possibility statement that you just made. The exposing things where you can do lots of different stuff with them leads to innovation as people figure out other new and crazy things that are now all of a sudden enabled.
Mm-hmm.
All right, my friend, that is all we have time for today. We're already overdue or overlate or whatever. I don't know what the word is. Thank you so much for joining the show. Take a moment, and if you want to say goodbye to anybody before I boot you off.
Let me just make a shout out to that. I don't have to be the only one that does Tool of the Day recaps. It's a free channel. If you're playing around with Tool of the Day, let me know what you feel.
We have a Tool of the Day channel in Discord. Shipwreck always takes whatever I throw out there, and he takes a look at it and gives another review of it after the show. All right, man. Thanks for joining. I look forward to seeing you. Well, I work with you, so I'll see you in a few minutes.
Take care.
All right. Bye. All right, everybody, round of applause for Shipwreck. And we got to get out of here because we do. So that's it. That's all I have for you for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Links to everything that I talk about on the show go up in the free community site at community.cncn.io after the show ends. Come join us. Community members get early access to links, video replay, and other exclusive content, although a lot of you have probably figured out that you can just go watch it on Twitch afterwards, which is fine too. If you have something you'd like me to consider for the show, post it in the community site or in the show's suggestions channel on Discord. Have a great day, everyone. Keep learning. I will see you in the next show. Stay caffeinated.